Beats craze. Beats craze. Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Give double honors to the elders that rule well and say honors and Shalom to all you brothers out there doing the work in truth and sincerity. It's the brother Alazar Banloya. Want to do this video. It's kind of been a topic, brothers been talking about different groups of people outside of the Western Hemisphere, or of us of Israelites that either before we got to the West, or those of us that are outside of the Western Hemisphere, because as we scattered all around the world. Kind of going into it, and these are people. There's a group of people called the Al-Aqdam of Yemen. Okay, now I've researched them in the past, and the Spirit's just on me to kind of bring them to the forefront and kind of tell their story. The first thing I want to say is fuck all of you scoffers, because somebody might come on this video scoffing, oh, them not Israelites, blah blah blah. Through the Spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, the elect are going to easily recognize the spirit, the plight, coupled with the physical characteristics of these people, and identify them as our people. It's not going to be hard. Even physical characteristics aside, take into consideration the type of plight coupled with the spirit of them. You see what I'm saying? And it's evident that they are our people. I'm going to read a little bit of the Wikipedia article concerning them, and then I'm actually going to get into some scriptures and play some clips of these people and what's being said about these people, and the information and what's being said about these people is so overwhelmingly similar to that set of our people that it's ridiculous. I mean, it's not ridiculous. It's amazing. It's amazing to see that we really are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. The Most High really did scatter us. You know what I'm saying? We're not just marginalized to the Americas. We all over the place. I would say the Americas is our primary place, but we all over the place. You got our people all over the place, and one thing our people have in common everywhere they go is that we're at the bottom. And it's called the curse of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, for being wicked. And the thing is, it's all a very spiritual thing, because you got to take into consideration, like, when I'm watching and I'm reading about this group of people, it strikes a chord with me. and I'm not gonna make any bones about it. It strikes a chord with me. A heathen, chords don't get struck with me over no heathen. I saw a pregnant white woman with a stranded and hungry sign the other day, and that shit made my day. I laughed. It was hilarious to me. Okay, when I see a heathen in derision, it brings joy because they've had us in derision. So I like to see that on there. But these particular people, you understand what I'm saying? It struck a chord with me. Similar to when the earthquake happened in Haiti in 2010, I've been in the truth about like a little under a year and a half. In the knowledge, and I'm seeing my people go through that hell, and it struck a chord with me. But in the same instant that it struck a chord with me, I cursed the TV out because I knew, being in the truth and being in the knowledge, being in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, I understood why the Lord jacked Haiti up. Because them niggas is being wicked as hell into that Catholicism, into that voodoo and all that bullshit. So that's why the Most High struck their ass. So even though it struck a chord with me because we are a compassionate people as Israelites, compassionate for our people, I still understood why that chastisement came upon them people for their wickedness. Same reason all our people are going through this plight in all the kingdoms of the earth that we dwell in. Because of our wickedness in our previous lives and our wickedness that our people are continuing to live. Save the elect, and the 1/3 actually trying to turn our lives around and get right with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. But I'm just gonna get into this. I'm gonna get into this because it's very spiritual. It's very beautiful. About these people. They're called the El Akdam, Akdam or Akdam, singular Kadim, meaning servant in Arabic, or called the Al Muhammashin, the marginalized ones. Now, the funny thing about this is, as we know, Arabic is a dialect or a broken Ebonic form of Hebrew. When you take a look at the word Akdam in Hebrew, break it down etymologically, Ak means brother, Dam means blood. So really, these people are the blood brothers. When you really break down the etymology of what their name means. Is a social group in Yemen, distinguished from the majority by its members, Negrito, like physical features and stature. So we deal with the physical aspect. They are Negroid in their physical aspect, and they are different from, as it says, they are different from the Hamitic people, those of African descent. They are considered to be at the very bottom of the social ladder, and are mostly confined to menial jobs in the country's major cities. So they're at the bottom, and they work, the bullshit jobs, just as our people. Everywhere we go, that's what we're played with, working the bullshit jobs. Okay, I'm gonna go down though. Or the anthropology. Besides their social position, the El Akdam are distinguished from the general Yemeni population by their distinctly vidoid or Negroid-like physical appearance. They are considerably shorter in height than the average statured Yemeni. They also possess facial features, hair structure, hair texture, and skin color characteristic of Negrito populations in general. So these are Negroid people, okay? So physically already we can see they're like us, and spiritually they have the same plight as us. Okay, let's go to the genetics. Genetic studies by Leham and Tobias noted the sickle cell trait at high frequencies among the Akdam. So the sickle cell rate, okay? Now we all know who gets sickle cell. Jakes get sickle cell. Blacks and also Hispanics are the top people who get sickle cell, okay? And these are among the top people who get sickle cell, the Al Akdam. So we taking the physical and the carnal aspects. So let's wrap up the physical and the carnal with just taking a look at these. Man, now I want every brother out there who's watching this, tell me you don't know a little kid that look like all these little kids right here. And this woman, I know a few black and Hispanic women that resemble her strong. So as from the physical and the carnal aspect, we can see that they look like they resemble our people. They have the same disease as our people in sickle cell, okay? So these are all telltale signs that they're Israelites and they're experiencing the same plight and under the same curses as our people. If I would have showed you this picture and told you that it was in Haiti or Ecuador or the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, you would believe it. But no, where is it? It's in Yemen, in the Middle East, because we are scattered abroad. And let's go to some scriptures here. First off, James 1:1. James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes scattered, 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Now that scripture speaks volumes because James is acknowledging that the 12 tribes are scattered abroad. We are all over the place. Yes, we are primarily over here in the Americas. That's without a doubt. But we are all over the place. We are over there in Yemen. Okay, we are all over the place. Let's go to and the thing about the whole Yemen thing, getting back to it real quick. Let me show the picture again. The thing there's many different oral traditions and histories, extra biblical, of course, that that basically talk about Jeremiah and other groups of Israelites going into Yemen. There's one in particular, the one that they use the most, that Jeremiah and a group of priests, after they hit the Ark of the Covenant, went down into Yemen. When you think about that and think about how the scriptures, when you read in Malachi, the 2nd chapter, the curse that hit Levi, in regards to bringing us, making us the basis, rubbing that dung across our face, making us low and abased among all the people. And you take into consideration the fact that it said Jeremiah and priests and a group of priests went down into Yemen. That also, you can connect it. Wait a minute. Just like the Haitians are the bottom of the Western Hemisphere, these Al-Aqdam are the bottom of, Arabia. You see what I'm saying? So it would be consistent with the fact that they could possibly be the descendants of priests that accompanied Jeremiah in a migration out of Israel and into Yemen. Okay? And I'm not saying that definitively, but it's food for thought and additional evidence supporting that these people are our people, Israelites. Okay, let's go to Isaiah 11 and 11 to 12. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So we all throughout the four corners of the earth now. A few places were mentioned in particular, but as it says, even the islands of the sea and all the four corners of the earth we are spread to. You understand what I'm saying? Let's go to Galatians 1:17. Neither went I up to Jerusalem, this is Paul speaking, to them which were apostles before me, but I went into Arabia and returned again unto Damascus. Now we understand and we know that Paul was sent out to the Gentiles who were Israelite foreigners, Israelites who had been disconnected or forgotten their heritage, okay, and gave them the gospel of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and drew them back to our ancient customs and our original identity, okay. Now it says that he went into Arabia. Yemen is in Arabia, in southern Arabia, okay. So there were groups of us in that region, even in Paul's time, okay? So again, consistent with different history and oral tradition, okay? But let's go to Ezekiel 23. We're going to read 40 to 49, okay? And furthermore, that ye have sent for men to come from far, unto whom a messenger was sent, and lo, they came, from who thou didst wash thyself, painted thy eyes, and deckest thyself with ornaments. Now I want to give you a little background on the context of what's being spoken about. What's being spoken about is the harlotry of Israel, the spiritual harlotry of Israel. So when it's talking about washing thyself, painting thy eyes, and decking up thyself like with ornaments, it's talking about Israel being a hoe, getting ready to see a trick. Okay, that's really what it is, so you can understand it. Okay, in modern day senses, what does a bitch do before she has a date? Before she's trying to impress a nigga, let him up in there, get some money up off him. She's gonna get ready. She's gonna wash up. She's going to put her makeup on, and she's going to put her little earrings on and such, okay? That's what it's talking about right here. Okay, verse 41. And statest upon a stately bed, and a table prepared before it, whereupon thou hast set mine incense and mine oil, right? And a voice of a multitude, being at ease, was with her. And with the men of the common sort were brought Sabians from the wilderness. Now, we gotta key and identify who the Sabians are. The Sabians are the ancient name of the inhabitants of Yemen, okay? The Sabians, okay? When you blue letter Sabian, it'll tell you people of southern Arabia, okay, which is Yemen, all right? You could look up, if you just do a search, Yemen in the Bible, it'll tell you that it's the Sabians, okay? Which put bracelets upon their hands and beautiful crowns upon their heads. So it said the Sabians assisted in this harlotry, okay? So our people were committing harlotry with the Sabians even in Ezekiel's time, which was during the Babylonian exile. So really, if he's talking about it, it had to have occurred before the Babylonian exile because it contributed to the reason why we even went into the Babylonian exile. So even before the time we went into Babylon, in that captivity, into ancient Babylon, into that captivity, we were committing spiritual fornication and harlotry with the Sabians, going after their ways, following after their gods. Okay, verse 43. Then said I unto her that was old in adulteries. Who was her that is old in adulteries? Israel. Israel is old in the adulteries of constantly breaking away from the law, statute, commandments, and the worship of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. In the wilderness, we were committing adultery. When the children of Israel came to Aaron and said to make the 2 golden calves because they didn't have any patience to wait for Moses anymore when he was receiving the tablets. Okay, let me continue. Will they now commit whoredoms with her and she with them? Israel committed whoredoms with the Sabians, or the ancient Yemenites, the Yemeni. Verse 44. Yet they went in unto her, right? So the Sabians went in unto us, as they go in unto a woman that playeth the harlot. So went they in unto her a Holah, and unto a Holibah, and the lewd women. Okay, who are the lewd women? The northern and the southern kingdom. That's what it's talking about. Aholah and Oholibah. Okay, that's the northern and the southern kingdom. Okay, figurative hoes, harlots. Our people have been harlots and hoes, going a horn from the worship of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, going into the ways and the worships of these other nations, these other pagan deities that are lifeless, dumb idols. Verse 45. And the righteous men, they shall judge them after the manner of adulteresses, and after the manner of women that shed blood, because they are adulteresses, and blood is in their hands. So when you factor in the fact that our people were committing these adulteries, you understand why our people are in this plight and in the condition we're in today. So you're going to understand why the Al-Aqdam are going through what they're going through in Yemen, because their ancestors, just like all of our ancestors, because all of our ancestors are the same, and the Israelites, the ancient Israelites, their ancestors committed that spiritual harlotry and adultery with the Sabians, and now the Sabians are oppressing our people. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get the scripture real quick. It just came to my head. The Second Maccabees. Second Maccabees. Okay, because this is what our people did, and especially again in 42 is keying in on the Sabians. So this kind of singles out the Al-Aqdam in particular, okay, dealing with the Sabians or the people of Yemen. Now, our people in ancient times were committing that spiritual fornication and harlotry with the people of Yemen, the Sabians, right? Now, let's go to 2 Maccabees 4 and 15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. In this case, these particular Israelites like the glory of the Sabians best of all. This is verse 16. By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them. So sore calamity has came upon the Al-Aqdam for the ancient trespass they committed by setting the honor of the Sabians best of all, because the Sabians came and decadenced them, as it said, and put bracelets upon their heads, made them glorious, gave them glory, glorified them, in that they glorified them for partaking in their customs. Okay. Verse 16, by reason whereof sore calamity came upon them, for they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose customs they had followed so earnestly, and unto whom they desired to be like in all things. So these Al-Aqdam have desired to be like these Yemenis, these Yemenites. And we're going to see that when I play these clips, how they're like, oh, we just want to be accepted as Yemenis people, and we are Muslims just like y'all are Muslims, and, we're people just like you. Y'all want to be just like these people, okay? But you got them for your avengers because you want to be just like them. You're better than them, and you got to remember that. Okay, that goes for all Israel and whoever is oppressing us. Okay, verse 17. For it is not a light thing to do wickedly against the laws of God, but the time following shall declare these things. Exactly, the time following shall declare these things. Into these end times, the things that we're going with shall declare and make these things evident. Okay, where was I at though here? Verse 46. For thus saith the Lord God, I will bring up a company upon them, and will give them to be removed and spoiled, And the company shall stone them with stones and dispatch them with swords, and they shall slay their sons and daughters and burn up their houses with fire. And we're going to see on some of these clips how the sons and daughters of these Al-Aghdam in Yemen have been slain, and nobody's been held accountable, and nobody even gave a damn. Okay? Verse 48. Thus will I cause lewdness to cease out of the land, that all women may be taught not to do after your lewdness. Meaning the Lord is going to destroy the 2/3, so the 1/3 is not going to have that a bad example. We're going to be in righteousness. Verse 4, Lord willing, we be a part of that number. Verse 49. And they shall recompense your lewdness upon you, and ye shall bear the sins of your idols, and ye shall know that I am the Lord God. So this Al-Aghdam is going to have to learn the hard way that Allah and that Arabian religion that you were never made to follow is lewdness, and you're going to have to bear the sin of following that idol. That's why they're in their plight. You understand what I'm saying? They need to wake up to who they are. But I'm sure the Most High, if he hasn't already, is sending or has already sent a prophet unto some of them, and some of them are the elect. There's elect over there, because as the scripture said, we're going to be gathered from all the four winds of heaven that we have been cast into. Again, verse 12 in Isaiah 11. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations. So how is the Lord setting up an ensign or a sign for the nations? By setting up prophets and putting them in these different lands. So I'm sure there is a prophet or prophets amongst them people, letting them know and trying to bring them back to their nationality through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, because the Al-Aghdam right now are the outcasts of Israel. Okay, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So we all going to be gathered from wherever we at. There's going to be elect from all over the world. There's going to be members of the 1/3 from all over the world. And I guarantee you that some of these people are some of them through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Okay. I want to get the Wikipedia on the Sabians real quick so you can understand. I can put in this proof. We're an ancient people speaking an old South Arabian language who lived in what is today Yemen in the southwest of the Arabian Peninsula. Okay, so that's how we understand who the Sabians are, to connect that into Ezekiel 23, to tie this all in together with the Al-Aghdam and the Sabians and whatnot. But without any further ado, I'm gonna present these clips to you and probably put in some scriptures here and there.
Garbage collectors in the capital Sana'a in green uniforms, distinguished by their dark skin. They are the untouchables of Yemen. They are known as the Aghdam, an Arabic name for servants. They prefer to be called the marginalized ones, a caste languishing at Yemen's lowest social order. This is where they live, in slums on the edge of the city. This is where 6 families live together in the complete absence of basic living conditions. There's a growing sense among these people that there's nothing they can do to change the pervasive culture of prejudice and discrimination. Ali Mahdi shows the dark and poorly furnished room where he lives with his wife and children. In the rainy seasons, it floods, and during the horrid heat, life becomes impossible.
My message to the world is, please help us. We are all sick because of the filth and dirt and the severe poverty. This is not a decent life. We are Muslims like all Yemenis. We deserve a better life than this.
Nu'man is an activist. He has been fighting for years to improve the rights of his own people. Inspired by the American civil rights leader Martin Luther King, he's urging skeptics to show patience in the fight against stigma.
The only way to eliminate the stereotypes is to take action. The Akdam have to understand that it is they who have to fight for their rights. We are Yemenis. The Constitution gives us the right to own a house and to go to school. However, rights are never granted. One must fight for them.
Mujahid is a local leader. He says government promises to build houses for the Akhdam were but empty words. He worries more about the future of the children. Mistreated at school, they drop out at an early age, only to find themselves confined to scavenging or clearing away human waste to earn a living. A thorny path for a caste on the fringes of Yemeni society. Hashim Ahbara, Al Jazeera, Sana'a.
They are outcasts, living in isolated slums outside Yemen cities. We examine the plight of dark-skinned Yemenis who are called al-Akdam, or servants. We are going to be referring to this group of people as Muhammashin, not al-Akdam, because al-Akdam is rather derogatory. Exactly. Distinguished by their dark skin, they're outcasts in Yemen, living in isolated communities. During the day, they're street sweepers, and at night, they return to their small huts in garbage-filled slums where basic necessities are nowhere to be found. In English, they're often referred to as the untouchables. That's a term referring to a minority group that's been ostracized by their own society, segregated from the mainstream by social customs and even legal mandates. Take a look at the following clip. It's from an upcoming documentary by Yemeni filmmaker Nawal Al-Maghafi titled The Forgotten Souls.
نوقف بس السكة شقي حوالي ساعة ساعتين لو خرجنا من الساعة 7 نركب الساعة 9 لازم محضنا لو حصلنا سيارة ما حصلنا سيارة ما حنرضي حد يركب احنا نمشي ماشي لهذاك المكان محل ما نشتغل نوصل نستناها إلا حتى يصلوا صلاة التراويح وبعدين لو هنشقرق يوزنوا احنا الكراتين والحاجات هذه ما هنمشي على قول الناس لهن الطافة لأنهم الناس ما شاء الله معاهم يعشوا نفوسهم يأكلوا أولادهم يقول احنا نستنى لبكرة نروح مكسورين الخاطر ما يكونوا الأطفال مستنين نروح لهن بعشاء نروح لهن بحاجة يفرحوا فيها نروح يدونا فاضية ولا في أي شيء.
Yemen's history has created a sort of caste-like system because of the social strata within society, and it's not necessarily based on income as in other countries, but rather based on lineage and based on profession. And if we look at the Muhammashin, we'll see that in terms of lineage, this is a major problem for many people because the perception that many Yemenis have is that these people are foreigners. They're not Yemeni, they came from Africa, and therefore they're foreign to us, their customs are foreign. And they themselves think of themselves as Yemenis, as they are Yemeni, and it creates an identity crisis.
I want you to listen to this video question because it picks up on something that Atyab said on those same lines about lineage.
Understand that Yemen is considered to be the origins of Arabs. And coming from a tribal society, it has embedded this culture of everyone knows their background, everyone knows their roots, their ancestors' history, whether it's hundreds of thousands of years ago. And so when you compare this to this minority, al-Akhdam, you see that their roots and originations are very blurred and identified with, which unfortunately has led them to be classified as second-class citizens.
Of course, the economic factor comes into play. they are mostly, their jobs are mostly reserved for, cleaning the streets, and that fuels this sort of stigma and creates many myths, such as, they are dirty people. There are plenty of myths that people in Yemen, unfortunately, have about this society. Of course, poverty is a major component of this, and the term that was mentioned earlier, the muhammashin, now is the one commonly used, but a lot of the leaders within the muhammashin also prefer another term, which is the most impoverished group, because they see poverty as a major obstacle in this. There's a very high dropout rate, which means they are unable to get other professions due to discrimination, lack of education, and it's just a cycle.
People in our community are also picking up on the fact that this is something that's echoed in other places in the world. Mikey says, are black Yemenis like the Dalits in India and the Jim Crow blacks in America? Nasihan says Yemen's dark-skinned population are treated like the slum dwellers of India and Brazil.
Essentially, we're talking about a group of people in society who have lived in the country for over 1,000 years, but purely because of the way their faces look or the color of their skin are treated in a kind of second-class citizens. So what you have is these kind of like rumors that are perpetuated. For example, I've heard Yemenis tell me that they think that the men, are not honest or not fit for proper work, or that the women are promiscuous. There's even a Yemeni proverb which says that if a dog licks your plate, you should clean it, but if someone from the muhammashin touches it, you should smash it. We're talking about very deeply ingrained prejudice here, and the only way that we can actually think about changing that, as what we've seen in the Arab Spring, when these people assert themselves, take to the streets.
Tom mentioned that they're treated as second-class citizens, but it seems like it may be even worse than that. Can you enlighten us a bit? Talk about the kinds of things that these people are subjected to.
First of all, as Atyaf mentioned, we are not a class-based society. We're a caste-based society. We inherit the caste. So it doesn't matter if you become wealthier later. You have to inherit your caste. And again, to connect what Tom said, what happened in 1962 was not a revolution, was not a popular revolution as much as of a military movement, and this is why what changed was the form of ruling. It became a republic after it was a monarchy, but the society did not really change. The caste remained the same, and you can see the prejudice practices very clear on different levels. If we talk about for example, the wages and the way those cleaners are treated, they're treated in a very illegal way. Most of them are not registered. Minors, sometimes under the age of 10, actually working cleaning the streets, double shifts, 12 hours a day. They work at late hours at night without fair wages. They don't have a retirement system. They don't have any health insurance, in spite of the fact that they clean in hospitals. They work with, sometimes they work in the cancer hospital, where they have, where they're exposed to the most dangerous kind of trash in the country, but they're not included in any kind of medical insurance. This is on one hand. On the other hand, the society still refuses marriages from this caste. If a girl from outside this caste wants to get married to a man from al-Muhammashin or the Yemeni servants, between quotations, her family would rather kill her rather than marry a man from that caste, and vice versa.
Noel, I want to jump over to Noel for a second, and I want to mention, by the way, all of these images that we're seeing, the video, these are from Noel's upcoming documentary. Noel, thank you so much for sharing those. You lived with these people for about 3 weeks in these slums. Talk about it. Talk about the level of violence and other things that you saw while you were there.
Well, I firstly started by spending time in the slums of Sana'a, and like Atiyaf and Sarah and Tom have mentioned, there's a lot of racism that they're subjected to. They are the cleaners of the streets in Yemen, and whilst women in Yemen are generally not found to be working at night, the women of the Muhammadin, they sweep the streets, from 5 a.m. till the morning. One of the most horrific things I saw in Sana'a was a young girl. She was 15. Who was giving labor and wouldn't be allowed into a public hospital, so she had to go back to her home and give birth by herself.
Even some that have graduated. I know one lawyer who just graduated from law school and is trying to find a job, and he's facing a lot of discrimination because people don't want to hire him. And in that case, they're only left with certain types of menial jobs, such as street cleaning, and no other, or very few other opportunities in other types of jobs, even the ones that have gotten the education and have the skills to do that. And hence they continue to live in this cycle of discrimination. A lot of the street cleaners get very minimum wages. They, like Sarah said, they don't have contracts by the government.
On Facebook, Mikey likens this to the civil rights movement in the U.S. and says some 50 years after the whole civil rights movement, we're still trying to erase the racial hate in this country. And Sarah, I want you to pick up on that with this video comment along the same lines.
Evening, my name is Saqib from the UK. I worked in the Yemen as a teacher for almost 3 years, so my question is on whether education might be the key to emancipate the blacks in Yemen, comparing their plight with the African Americans that hadn't access to an education and produced the likes of Frederick Douglass, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. Maybe if the blacks in Yemen were given this opportunity, it might expedite their emancipation through self-realization.
If Yemen doesn't have a history of inclusiveness, how do you now create a foundation for people to see and act differently toward a group that has been marginalized for centuries? One of the horrible, horrible things that these people face, particularly the women, is violence. These people have little to no legal right within their country. Many of the women are really easy targets for rape. And because there aren't laws specifically protecting them and they don't have money to afford lawyers, crimes against them often go unpunished. I want to take a look at a clip that we've got from an NGO called Witness. They put together a short documentary highlighting the struggles specifically of these marginalized Yemeni women.
أول البداية قالوا لي 2 شباب، بعدين جالس مستقيم قدام المغرب يعني بالباب، بعدين حامل بالبنت اللي فلت لي من داخلي. بعدها هو قال لي اشتري طبيعك، وهذه اشتري طبيعك وليش يكون خبركم ثاني. قلت لوني يعني احنا مانيش حق الخبر هذا، لو كنا حق الخبر هذا فتن احنا هنا وهيك. بعدها قال لي خلاص، قال زوجك ما هنلوش هديه وهذا 500 عليك. قلت له ماشيش 500، خليه يروح. بعده كذا ها الشال يعطبنيها ويخبطني بحجري وانا بالظاهر. بعدين انا قمت بكي وهذا وفكر اذا حقي ذا هو ها وعور ما ذا حقي افتك.
ادورهم بالليل على مالكم كذا ومو تدورون وتشو يا كلم اهل العيال هذوم ليش ما تضبطوش عيالكم بلا تسرسار بلا ذاقوش، قول لهم كذا فرخي طبيعي شنو نديلك 500 شنو نديلك، يعني ما حصلتون شهلاتكم الا ذين المساكين. قالوا هلا خادمه لحال متشاق، قلت لهم اضبطوا عيالكم عيب.
Talk a little bit about your experience with women there who have been the targets of rape and violence.
Because a lot of these women work either really early or really late, many of them are subjected to harassment or rape. One woman in particular, for example, was pregnant and was attacked. And when she went to court, instead of getting justice, she was fired from her job. And because she doesn't have a contract, she was working on a daily rate. That was it. That was it for her. There was no means to seek any justice. And in fact, her father was also fired from his job. And that just exemplifies what many of the women and the men face in that society. And it's very difficult for them to seek justice because of their situation and also because of the financial means. They cannot afford lawyers. And of course their children also face the same fate, because many of them, when they go to the streets, they're also with these children, and they're faced. They see what's happening to their mothers, and they're subjected to it, and a lot of the young girls have faced harassment, and there's no means, again, no way to talk about it. It's a shameful act, and they feel inside that it's something that they're ashamed of. So it's something that really should be discussed and should be taken on by many of the NGOs in Yemen as a major problem facing women.
Clearly, to some extent, this kind of racism is internalized, and there are people in the machine who are asserting themselves, taking to the streets and protesting, but there are also some people who have just lost hope. You're brought up as a child, you're told you're not supposed to go to school, the only job you can get is to sweep the streets. So it's like, how do you help someone like that who's internalized that kind of racism, without being condescending, without being patronizing? That's the real difficulty here. And it's a perpetuating cycle, right? So you grow up in that kind of society, and then you teach your child that that's the expectations that society has of them too. Essentially, what you have in Yemen is a system that is based on divide and rule. So, this group has been used countless times by the president as a political tool. He'll pay them some money to come out and cheer for him or to vote for him in the elections. And while there has been a transfer of power in Yemen this year, the president stepped down, his deputy is now in power. Essentially, that whole culture of corruption and racism is still in place. And I think Sarah's completely right that as long as we have that kind of system in Yemen, which basically ascribes to people what they're capable of based purely on where they're from or what they look like, then these kind of problems are going to continue.
ولا احنا مسلمين ولا احنا مثلهم الزور بردوا خدامه وانتم شحاتين واحنا نشحات واحنا اعزز الناس عازين نفوسنا في بيوتنا داخل لنا اقربنا بيد يدينا للانسان
باتريكات ونطلب طلبه معنا في الاخر ولا احنا حاجه واحنا نشارع هون. والله خدم ما لناش حكم لا قبيلة ولا مو فوق 100 ما قالوا الطم الخادع هذا خادع معلش قال الخادع
احنا مسمينا خدام مسمينا احنا مشردين ولا كأن احنا موجودين خالص ما بينا مش في الوجود ايوه
بعدين كنا احنا في الشارع انا واختي بس في هذاك اليوم خرجنا في ربشة وهذا كان يعني في وقت شغل خرجنا بعدين رحنا نشتغل يعني العصر بعدين كانوا مفرشين موز وفواكه وتفاح قلنا له بعد العربية بنكنس قام قال له ما شبعتش يا خالي بنت الخادم واخي اجا متعصب قال له عاد حتزنط علينا يعني ضربوه هذا شوية وما فيش حاجة وخبيرتي الثالثة بعدين احنا وكان في عيال هذا كنا بنتضارب كان في كل 10 11 على واحد واحنا بنستلقين وهذا قطعنا أخي والثاني عجيوة في بالجنبية الذي كان لأختي وجرت حملات يا أخي تسحبه على أساس ما يطعنش أخي فوق الذي طعنا الأول سحبته على طول شلال الجنبية
ورثة لما شعط هذا يعني مشاكلها الوريد. بعدين كانت هذا كسح خلاص حطت في الشارع يعني خلاص دوخت. كانت قالت يا حدة، قلت لها ايش؟ قالت مشتيش اموت. وفي هذا الكلام نوقف سيارات ويا ناس يرحمونا يا ناس، هم ولا واحد يعني ولا واحد تنازل الفت علينا ولا. بعد اختنا لها مستشفى الجمهوري دخلنا كنا نقول لهم ارحموهم بعد عن تحاكم، قالوا من فعلها كذا بنقول لهم ارحموهم. رجعنا في مصححنا والدكاترة والأساكر حتى ما حصلناش أمل منهم. هذا كسة حتى لو كانوا صح يحبوا الرحمة، هذا كسة على طول عشلوهم وداخل العمليات ولا حتى أنا الأقل عيعبرون منهم ناس. يروح الواحد يزور يقول له انت شحات، انت تبوك تشحات، انت خادم وانت مقساك. والله يمين ولا لنا قيمة عند أبتور. والله فضحوني والله انني شحت وكل شحمة على أبتور داخلا مجنن. قلنا احنا بدي العيشة، انا عايزين نفوسنا في بيوتنا الحمد لله احسن لنا بدي ولا لنا اللي يشحتوا ولا لنا اللي يطلبوا. الحاكم هو يحكم، هو يستوي. الكبير والصغير والضعيف والمسكين كله يروحوا هنا. ما بشوف قلوبهم رحمة، لا محكمة ولا نيابة ولا من العاصمة ولا أحد. ولا ذيك الساعة يفعلوا لنا أمل، مش يخلونا مفضلين في الشارع. تكون تمشي في الشارع واحد يلا يا خادمة يا بنت الخادم، لكن ما بش لنا قيمة. لكن ما بش لنا أمل.
واحنا نحن بيت اجيتو قبة مقشي السقف يعني مبعود. بعدها نحن جينا نخبر وهذا رقموا لي هذا فكله ضحكوا ضحين بوقع قال الرقم ما قدرتش اعالجه.
راح هذا البيت هون حاولت يعني ما تهدوا المشكلة دي. قالنا لا قصي يضربنا هون اجينا قد قبيت.
قال بعد رجعنا جينا بالشيخ قال لنا احنا الشيخ لم تنمش قصة سكتة شلون فسكن عزلتن من هنا. قلنا له ما تحكموش اللي هو غريب ولا اللي هو ما معوش ما معانا ولا معانا اي حاجة ولا عنده الا احنا لا من حق بيوتنا ولا من شي نخبر عنه. كنا شي فوق العرس حقنا هنا وحقيه. قلنا خلاص هنا وحقيه نحن من انفسنا. يا شال الراجل عاطف بعدنا اني وهذيك البنت وهذه مو نعمل لهن نقوم نحن من شارع قبائل. ولا والله العظيم ان احنا نقص قياع نقص غباب على حكم ربي. رحت من هذا المطر ضربني ومامو ما عقليناش نخدم. لا خدام المغوطن احنا ما عززهدوش لا بتن حرقنا ولا بتن ميتنا.
احنا اول شيء حرقنا 3 مرات. سووا الحرق ذا قصبنا شو احنا نخرج من الارض، صحاب الارض الناس شمتوا بنا وسووا بنا الذي ما يستويش. جالسين بدل الارض محاوس ان احنا كلنا داخل بصندقه واحده احنا وقهالنا ومطبخ وكله داخل. يجي الواحد لصلح مطبخ ولا حمام يقول له جيب 6-7 ألف، من فين؟ هون حمالين. احنا من اهل اليمن، احنا منها وفيها ونشتي بيوت، ما نشتي السنادق خالص، احنا نشتي بيوت نشين كلنا قايمه زي الناس.
دارسين وأنا مكاتب وأنا تخرجنا من الجامعة، لكن ولا شحنة على أساس إننا ندري بس كنا شغل أتمنى إحنا ندرس وإن نتخرج جامعة وإن يعني نحد أمل نحصل. أنا هذا أمل لكن حصلنا شيء.
ايش ابني وش عيشة عيالي وش عيشة قهالي وش ارتاح لي ببيتي، يعني حور ببيتي ما حاش يقول لي لا خادمة ولا أي حاجة. ونشاء احترام عرضنا ونشاء شرفنا ونشاء كل شيء ولا حاجة كلمة احنا لا نكذب حدا، نشاء شرفنا يبقي بس.
والآن نشتي الرئيس ينصب احنا يجيب لنا أي شيء. احنا مشردين الصدق استعباد مستعبدين احنا استعباد بدل الأرض. الصدق استعباد مستعبدين احنا وخلاص، وهذا اللي عندي قلته.